What if the person you see in the mirror every morning is not the protagonist of your story, but a carefully crafted costume worn by a consciousness that has forgotten its original name? The ancient Gnostic mystics spoke of a peculiar tragedy they called the Great Forgetfulness, a state where a divine spark becomes so entangled in the distractions of the material world that it begins to mistake the noise for the music. You didn't wake up one day and choose a life that feels slightly hollow. You were slowly hypnotized by a reality that optimizes for your survival while quietly starving your essence. Modern science calls this the default mode network, while ancient seekers called it the labyrinth of mirrors. It is a system of background noise that stays just quiet enough to be ignored, yet remains loud enough to drown out the internal signals of your true purpose. We spend our lives optimizing for reactions instead of resonance, chasing shadows in a cave, and wondering why the light feels so far away. But there is a specific phenomenon, a hidden friction in your daily experience that acts as a compass pointing toward the exit of this labyrinth, and most of us have been trained to misinterpret it as a flaw. In this journey, we will first decode the architecture of this invisible prison and why the noise you didn't choose has become the gravity of your existence. Then, we will explore the 4 hidden portals through which your attention can be reclaimed from the architects of distraction. And finally, we will face the most confronting question of all, a revelation that suggests your true self isn't waiting in the future, but is actively trying to reach you backward through time, using the very confusion you are trying to escape. If the world is a hall of mirrors designed to keep you asleep, where does your soul actually reside? To understand why reclaiming your life feels like an uphill battle against an invisible force, you must first recognize that you are not merely living in an environment, you are living inside a frequency. The Gnostic seekers described this world as a kenoma, a profound emptiness disguised as a bustling reality. In their view, the structures of our society, our habits, and even our very personalities are archons, or architects of distraction, designed to keep the human spirit occupied with the maintenance of its own prison. When your life feels slightly off, it is not because you are failing to keep up with the world. It is because your internal frequency has begun to clash with the broadcast of the labyrinth. Think of your current life not as a series of random events, but as a sophisticated biomechanical suit. This suit was designed by your past experiences, your culture, and your survival instincts to help you navigate the world with the least amount of resistance. It optimizes for predictability, safety, and social acceptance. But a suit that fits a child becomes a torture device for an adult. Most of us are trying to live expansive, soulful lives while still wearing the psychic armor we built when we were 10 years old, or the professional mask we crafted to please a boss we no longer respect. We feel the friction, the hollowness mentioned before, and our immediate instinct is to apply willpower. We tell ourselves that if we just grip the steering wheel tighter, if we wake up earlier, or if we force ourselves to be more disciplined, the suit will finally stop hurting. But this is the fundamental trap of the labyrinth. Willpower, in its conventional sense, is often just the ego trying to use force to fix a problem that is actually metaphysical. You cannot use the logic of the prison to escape the prison. Willpower is fragile because it is a finite resource managed by the very nervous system that is trying to keep you safe, and to your nervous system, safe means unchanged. The moment you try to use sheer effort to move toward a version of yourself that is unfamiliar, your brain perceives this as a threat to your survival. It triggers a quiet, internal gravity that pulls you back toward the familiar, even if the familiar is miserable. This isn't a flaw in your character. It is the system doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect the known at all costs. This is why you can be a titan of discipline in your career, but a ghost in your own home. It is why you can master the gym, but fail to master the one conversation that would liberate your heart. Your willpower isn't failing you. It is being vetoed by a deeper layer of your architecture that believes the wrong life is the only life that guarantees your continued existence. What if every ancient tradition that spoke of awakening or gnosis wasn't talking about gaining new information, but about deactivating the survival systems that have outlived their usefulness? What if the feeling of being stuck is actually the soul's way of sabotaging a life that is too small for it? We have been taught that the resistance we feel is something to be overcome with force, but in the science of the soul, resistance is a signal to be decoded. There are specific markers, hidden patterns in your daily behavior that reveal exactly where your attention has been hijacked, and how the labyrinth is maintaining its hold on you. This isn't just about improving your life. It is about an ontological shift, a change in the very nature of your being. We must move from the receiver model of consciousness, where we are merely reacting to the signals of the world, to a generative model, where we recognize the spark within as the true architect. But to do that, we must first look at the invisible goals you have been serving without your permission. Let's decode the 4 portals of the labyrinth and see how they are currently shaping the reality you think you are choosing. The first portal we must cross to reclaim our existence is what the ancient initiates called the alchemy of attention. In the Gnostic tradition, attention is not merely a mental faculty, it is the currency of the soul. It is the light of the spark that illuminates whatever it touches. If your life feels hollow, it is often because this light has been fractured and scattered across 1,000 trivial things that have no interest in your awakening. You've experienced this when you find yourself scrolling through a feed for an hour, only to emerge feeling more tired and fragmented than when you began. This isn't just a waste of time, it is a ritual of dispossession. Modern algorithms are the digital descendants of the ancient archons, designed to mimic the labyrinth of mirrors by reflecting back to you exactly what will keep you engaged, but never what will set you free. The Vedas describe the mind, or manas, as a wild horse that must be tamed before it can pull the chariot of the self toward its destination. In our modern era, the horse has been drugged by constant stimulation. To reclaim your attention, you must recognize that your focus is being farmed. Every like, every notification, and every hollow social obligation is a leak in your reservoir of vital energy. The ancients knew that where attention goes, prana or life force follows. If your attention is consistently outsourced to things that look impressive from the outside, status, approval, the constant being on, then you are literally feeding your life force to a ghost. You are building a palace for someone else, while your own inner temple falls into ruin. The practice here is not to find more things to focus on, but to engage in a radical starvation of the non-essential. For the next week, identify the attention parasites in your life, those activities that pull at you without calling you forward. When you feel the urge to check a screen or fill the silence with noise, stop, sit with the discomfort. In that silence, you are pulling your light back into yourself. You are not just being productive, you are performing a spiritual retrieval. You are gathering the scattered fragments of your spark. But as you begin to reclaim this light, you will inevitably encounter the most formidable obstacle in the labyrinth, the one who stands at the door to keep you inside. This brings us to the second portal, the encounter with the guardian of the threshold. In every mythic journey, the hero must face a monster that guards the exit. In our daily lives, this guardian is not a dragon, but our own nervous system. We have been conditioned to believe that our bodies are our allies in growth, but the body is primarily interested in one thing: the preservation of the status quo. To your biology, the wrong life is a safe life because it is a life you have already survived. The moment you attempt to shift your identity to become the person you were meant to be, your nervous system sounds an alarm. It interprets the unfamiliar as a mortal threat. This is why willpower feels like trying to push a mountain. You are literally fighting the evolutionary programming of your own cells. The Stoic philosophers spoke of the procheiron, the handy truths we must keep ready for when the storms of emotion arrive. When you feel the intense resistance, the procrastination, or the sudden urge to retreat into comfort, you are not experiencing a lack of character. You are experiencing the guardian. You have likely felt this when you stood on the edge of a major decision, a career change, an honest conversation, a radical new habit, and felt a physical tightness in your chest or a sudden brain fog that made the choice seem impossible. This is the labyrinth's defensive mechanism. It uses your own physiology to create a wall of mirrors, making the exit look like a cliff. To pass this portal, you must learn the art of interrogating the safety response. Instead of fighting the resistance with willpower, you must witness it. When the fear or the stagnation arises, ask yourself, is this a signal of actual danger? Or is this the guardian trying to protect a version of me that no longer exists? By naming the resistance, you strip it of its power. You move from being the victim of the sensation to being the witness of it. The Stoics taught that we do not react to things, but to our judgments about things. If you judge your fear as a sign to stop, you stay in the labyrinth. If you judge it as the necessary friction of a soul outgrowing its skin, the fear becomes a fuel, But even after you face the Guardian, you must deal with the hidden motives that have been keeping the prison doors locked from the inside. This leads us to the third portal, the liturgy of the hidden goals. We often tell ourselves that we want freedom, purpose, and awakening, but our behavior tells a different story. As the transcript suggested, behavior never moves randomly. Every action you take is a prayer to a goal, even if that goal is hidden in the shadows of your unconscious. If you find yourself consistently living the wrong life, it is because that life is providing you with a payoff that you aren't yet willing to give up. The job you hate provides the goal of predictability. The relationships that drain you serve the goal of belonging. The procrastination you despise serves the goal of avoiding judgment. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow as the part of ourselves that contains everything we have deemed unacceptable. Often, our most powerful goals are hidden in this shadow. We have optimized our lives for survival, not for fulfillment. To the Gnostic, this is the ultimate deception of the Archons. They make the prison feel like a sanctuary. You may say you want to be a writer, but your behavior serves the goal of not being seen as a failure, so you never write a word. In this case, your goal is not writing, your goal is safety, and you are serving that goal with incredible discipline and loyalty. The problem isn't a lack of motivation, it's a conflict of interest between your soul and your survival instincts. The practice here is the shadow inventory. You must look at the habits you dislike, the distractions, the delays, the small dishonesties, and ask, what is the hidden goal here? What is the payoff? Do not judge the answer. If the payoff is, I get to stay small so nobody criticizes me, acknowledge it. Once the goal is made conscious, it loses its grip on your steering wheel. You cannot change a lens you don't know you're wearing. When you see that you have been faithfully serving the goal of comfort at all costs, you can finally ask the soul's question, is this comfort worth the price of my essence? This realization creates a shift in altitude, leading us to the next portal. The fourth portal is the metamorphosis of altitude. Most of our suffering does not come from the world being difficult, but from the fact that our consciousness has outgrown the level of reality we are currently inhabiting. Imagine a bird that has lived its whole life in a cage. It may be well fed and safe, but it feels a persistent, aching tension in its wings. The bird doesn't need coping mechanisms for its stress. It needs the sky. Many of us are trying to solve our life problems using the same level of mind that created them, a level focused on survival, fitting in, and following the rules of the labyrinth. But the soul operates on a different frequency. The Neoplatonists spoke of the ascent of the soul, a process where we gradually realize that the rules of the material world are not commandments, but merely constructs. You've experienced this shift when something that used to matter deeply, like the opinion of a certain peer group or a specific type of social status, suddenly feels irrelevant. You haven't lost interest, you've gained altitude. You are seeing the game from a higher perspective, and once you see the game, you can no longer be a pawn in it. The friction you feel in the wrong life is actually the sensation of your mind trying to expand while your circumstances remain rigid. It is the transition fog where old rewards stop working, but new ones haven't appeared yet. To navigate this metamorphosis, you must stop asking, how do I feel better? And start asking, what level of mind am I operating from? If your primary concern is, how do I stay safe? Or how do I look impressive? You are operating from the lower levels of the labyrinth. The shift occurs when you move your aim to the level of truth. This doesn't mean your life changes overnight. It means your relationship to your life changes. You begin to participate in the world without being consumed by it. You play your roles, parent, employee, citizen, with the conscious awareness that these are roles, not your ultimate identity. This detachment is the first taste of true sovereignty, but as you gain this altitude, you will face a moment of profound confusion. This is the fifth and final portal of the practical heart, the power of the divine refusal. In the journey toward the right life, we often expect a clear map to appear. We want a voice from the heavens to tell us exactly where to go, but clarity rarely arrives as an invitation. It arrives as a refusal. In the Vedic tradition, there is a practice called neti neti, not this, not that. You find the truth by stripping away everything that is false. The wrong life stops when you finally find the courage to say no to the noise, even before you know what the yes looks like. This refusal is a sacred act of momentum. Most people are so afraid of the void between identities that they cling to a dying life rather than face the silence. But it is only in the not this that the true this can emerge. Clarity arrives as relief, not as a complex plan. When you stop pretending to be satisfied with the shadows, you create a vacuum that the universe must fill. The anti-vision, seeing the person you will become if you don't change, is a powerful tool here. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, still serving the same hidden goals of safety and approval, still scattered, still hollow. Let that image haunt you until the refusal becomes inevitable. When you reach this point, you are no longer trying to fix your life. You are allowing the old life to dissolve so that the reality you were meant to inhabit can finally manifest. The wrong life doesn't collapse in a single explosion. It dissolves as your attention, your identity, and your actions begin to resonate with a higher frequency. Now that we have decoded the portals and the practical mechanics of the labyrinth, we must face the ultimate paradox, the truth about who is actually trying to wake you up. We have walked through the portals of attention, resistance, hidden goals, and altitude, but now we must face the most disorienting revelation of all. This is the moment where the psychology of the self gives way to the metaphysics of the soul. Throughout this journey, we have spoken of the right life as if it were a destination you are moving toward, a future state of being that you must struggle to achieve. But what if our fundamental understanding of time is the final mirror in the labyrinth? What if the person you are becoming is not waiting for you at the end of a long road, but is actually the one who has been calling you from the very beginning? The Gnostic mystics preserved a beautiful and haunting story known as the Hymn of the Pearl. In it, a prince is sent to a distant land to retrieve a pearl guarded by a serpent. Once he arrives, he eats the local food and falls into a deep sleep, forgetting his royal origin and his mission. He begins to live the life of the locals, wearing their clothes and serving their interests, the ultimate wrong life. However, back in his true home, his parents see his plight and send a letter. This letter takes the form of an eagle that flies to the prince and speaks with the voice of his own origin. The prince wakes up, remembers who he is, and realizes that the noise of the distant land was just a dream. In our modern existence, that letter is the very friction and discomfort you feel. That nagging sense that things are slightly off is not a symptom of failure, it is the eagle calling you. But here is the peak curious paradox. In the higher dimensions of consciousness, time does not move in a straight line. Many contemporary philosophers and quantum theorists are beginning to echo what the ancient seers always knew, that the future can influence the present just as much as the past. What if your true self isn't a theoretical concept, but a literal, vibrant reality that has already escaped the labyrinth? What if your higher self is reaching backward through the fabric of time, using your intuition, your synchronicities, and even your moments of deepest confusion to nudge you toward the exit? This creates a moment of mental vertigo. It suggests that you are not a lonely traveler trying to find a path. You are being hunted by your own soul. The right life is not something you create, it is something you allow. The pressure you feel to change, the not this that we discussed earlier, is actually the gravity of your future self pulling on your present self. You are being remembered into existence. Every time you reclaim a fragment of your attention or refuse to serve a hidden goal of safety, you are not just making a choice. You are responding to a signal from the person you have already become. You are a bridge between two worlds, and the friction you feel is the sound of that bridge being built. If we accept this premise, the implications for how we live are staggering. It shifts the burden from willpower to receptivity. If you are being guided by a version of yourself that has already attained sovereignty, then your primary responsibility is no longer to try harder, but to listen more closely. This is the responsibility of the awakening. It changes the ethical landscape of your daily life. Every choice you make to stay in the wrong life, every time you knowingly choose the shadow over the spark, is not just an act of self-sabotage. It is a rejection of the help your future self is desperately trying to provide. Think about the difficult decisions you are currently avoiding, the conversation you've delayed, the creative project you've suppressed, the habit you've clung to out of a desire for comfort. If your future self is sending echoes backward to guide you, then your hesitation is not just a personal delay, it is a disruption of a cosmic alignment. You have a duty to the version of you that is already free. The real question of your life is no longer, how do I succeed, but am I brave enough to be who I already am in the eyes of eternity? This perspective removes the victimhood from our suffering. We are no longer people to whom life is happening. We are participants in a grand non-linear unfolding. Your confusion is no longer a fog, it is a laboratory. Your resistance is no longer a wall, it is a weight-training exercise for your spirit. When you look at your life through this lens, the archons of the labyrinth lose their power. They can only control you if you believe you are a finished product trapped in a linear timeline. But the moment you recognize yourself as a multi-dimensional being in the process of remembering your own sovereignty, the mirrors of the prison begin to crack. This brings us to our final contemplation, the dilemma that puts us face to face with the mystery of existence. The ancient Hermetic text, the Emerald Tablet, famously states, "As above, so below, as within, so without." For centuries, we have interpreted this as a map of correspondence, but perhaps it is a description of a single, indivisible reality. If the entire cosmos is a mirror of your inner state, and your inner state is currently reclaiming its light, then you are not just changing your life, you are changing the universe. Perhaps the labyrinth of mirrors wasn't built by some external evil force to punish you. Perhaps, in a paradox that the human mind can barely grasp, you built the labyrinth yourself. Perhaps you created the wrong life as the ultimate challenge, a way for consciousness to experience the thrill of total forgetfulness so that it could eventually experience the ecstasy of total remembering. If you never felt the hollow noise, you would never seek the substance. If you never served the hidden goals of the shadow, you would never appreciate the brilliance of the spark. So we are left with a final cosmic question that has no easy answer. If the world is a hall of mirrors designed to lead you back to yourself, and if your actions are the echoes of a future you have already lived, then who or what is actually observing this journey right now? Is it the person with your name and your history? Or is it the silent witness, the one who has remained unchanged while identities were worn and discarded like old clothes? The mystic said that the ultimate reality cannot be spoken, only experienced. Perhaps that's because we're not trying to discover something outside ourselves. We're trying to remember what we've always been. The hunt for mystery is never really about finding new lands. It's about seeing with new eyes. This channel is not a destination. It is a gathering of seekers who have decided to stop pretending that the shadows are enough. If these reflections have resonated with the spark within you, consider joining us. There are no final answers here, only deeper and more beautiful questions. The labyrinth only has power as long as you believe it is the only world that exists. But the moment you turn your attention inward and hear the echo of the eagle, the walls begin to thin. The right life is not a reward for your effort. It is the natural state of your being when the noise finally stops. The hunt continues.